Khosa to come and talk to you and give a few words. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, to start, as Newton said, and Adil is a big fan of quotations, so I'm trying to learn from him. Newton said, if I can see further than you, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. And here are some of the giants of APPNA Young Physicians Committee, and I'll show some pictures of the past presidents as well as the chairs of Young Physician Committee. What I would like to emphasize is in this equation, people call it air ball in Europe, meatball, kofta anda. In this equation, if you see this, we've all had this. In this equation, the chicken is involved, but the goat is committed. So similarly, for your future and in your life, people might be involved, but we are committed, just like the goat here. We not only pray for you, but we are willing to do anything and everything for you, because you are the future of our nation. It's the youth that is the future. So objectives of the talk are, I'm just going to go through, obviously we'll have some career counseling lectures, just briefly touch upon accommodation, the monthly teleconferences that we're doing, research mentoring to facilitate publications and letters, BIPC collaboration with APPNA chapters and alumni, matching mentee with mentors, visa, green card and contracts. In the interest of time, I'll not go into the details, but there are APPNA houses. Chicago is one of them, Carthage is another one, New York and Detroit. Visa, so every single individual who contacted APPNA received their visa and joined their residency in time this year, and that has been the precedent, so it wasn't that we did it for the first time. That has always happened, and it's because of the commitment that APPNA has, or Young Physicians Committee has for you. IMGs in residency and clinical fellowship who contacted us, who had gone to Canada to renew their J1 or extend their J1, all of them also were able to come and join their jobs and get their visa renewal in time. Naveen, Bhora, Rizvi and Marina, Haddad continue to provide advice on visa and contracts to young physicians, and we are appreciative of their services. Historical perspective, here you have all the past presidents with the dates of their presidency. These are the giants on whose shoulders we stand today, and all of them have contributed to what we are today as a nation, as a speciality, as a community of physicians. Past chairs of Young Physicians Committee, some of them I could find the pictures, others unfortunately I couldn't make contact with them, but all of them have done the same. Remote research mentoring, what we've done now is that we've got some students who are the gateway of coaching and mentoring, so they actually direct people and match mentors with mentees. Somebody wants to do psychiatry, they will not send the resume to me, but send it to Naveen is here, Majid is here, so the resume will go to them. Similarly, if somebody wants to do radiology, it will go to Umar, Tariq or me. If somebody wants to do surgery, it will come to, so there is no duplicity, and that's how we gain efficiency in our coaching and mentoring, where we match the person's interest with a mentor who will sort of guide and coach. This morning I was talking to Adil, Haide, he was very kind. Nizar wanted to get some oncology experience, and obviously we've got world-renowned Faiz, Bhora and other Haide here, and they've been coaching and mentoring as well. Zaheer has been doing a lot as well. So these are some of the students I recently remotely mentored. Some of them I've never actually met in person, but they published guideline papers, they published bibliometrics, they published meta-analysis and systematic reviews, and that's how I could then provide them letters of references. And if this was a surgical sort of candidate, we would do trauma radiology matched with surgery, and so a surgeon could then also give them an LOR based on their performance, and there was no direct contact between the mentee and the mentor, and sort of this is how we've done. So Mariam Hashmi is here in the audience, she's going to speak. We've got students from CMH, we've got students from Aga Khan, KE, Waqasullah from Khyber Medical College, Wasique is in the audience here, Ahmad Waqas from CMH, and Nizar Nurali. And then we also get some outstanding, we're fortunate to get some outstanding residency aspirants like Nizar Nurali, who's working on 15 projects or 16 projects at this stage, and he is mentoring other residency aspirants, because he is an MPH, so he's got that statistical background where he can do the analysis and sort of develop plans on how to execute various projects successfully. We've got other friends here as well, as you can see, Naeem, who's a psychiatrist. He's mentoring probably 7 or 8 projects in psychiatry. He couldn't make it here from Aga Khan. Majid Aized is mentoring a lot of students. Then we've got Bakar Bari from Aga Khan. He's an assistant professor there. And now he's sort of bringing his residents who would like to do residency in North America or fellowships in North America and Canada. So he sort of mentors them and then connects them with us, and then we are publishing papers. High school students, we've got a few high school students. Ali Haider, Faraz Niazi worked with us when I was at Beth Israel. Wali Niazi, these are all high school students who are interested in doing medicine. So then we sort of get them involved, we bring them in, sometimes remotely, sometimes in person, and we show them how it works. And sometimes it will just be as simple as filling Excel files with patient age, BMI, or their comorbidities. And so these kids then have an added edge and advantage that they get LOR, and they sort of have worked in scientific methodology, and they've sort of acquired those skills. Caribbean graduates of Pakistani descent, so Wakas worked with us. He's published 46 manuscripts in 2 years. Now he's matched. So he had been matched for 4.5, 5 years, and now he's matched. So we've got Haris Shekhani, and we've got Bokar Khabar. Letters of support for green card, EB1, EB2 applications, we do that too. So Mohammad Wahid Raja, Ilbaz, Riaz, Haider Badaj, and Mohammad Umar from Alama Iqbal. So these are kids. Haider Badaj I worked with, but the other 3 I've never met in my life. But based on their resume, I could request Faiz, Bhora, or others to provide them with strong letters of reference in order for these kids to get green cards, and they all got green cards. So it wasn't that you have to have a mentor you directly worked with. If you worked and excelled in your field, you could get a green card within 6 months to 1 year, and that's what we have been doing. Clinical fellowships in Canada, I often get asked, how do we get a clinical fellowship? So these are Pakistani students. These 3 had just done the FCPS, Pakistani FCPS. They contacted me. They had done residency in Pakistan, Shaukat Khanam, Aga Khan, or different institutions. And so I got their MCCEE, which is USMLE equivalent exams. I got it exempted on my own personal guarantee, and then Medical Council gave them a limited 2-3 years clinical license, and then they can do clinical fellowships. So these kids do not have to go and do the exams, entrance exams. The exams get exempted, they get a 2-year, 3-year, depending on how long the duration of fellowship is, and they come and do fellowships. So Canada Research, Sohaib Kamar worked with us. He's now matched in residency. These 3, Tina Parvez, Kiran Khurshid, both are from KE, and then Umar Bajwa from CMH. We are mentoring them. I've hired them at UBC, and they are sort of working in research with me and developing their resume. Some success stories. These kids worked with us. Some had attempts in USMLE. One of them, I will not name anybody or point to anybody, one of them was a 12-year-old graduate. So I often get asked this question, I am an old graduate, or I have attempts for our law schools. And one of these kids had 3 attempts in step 1, 2 attempts in step 2, and was a 12-year-old graduate, had been working as a physician assistant for 9 years. Now he's just finished his residency in Illinois. So where there is a will, there is always a way. You've got to persevere. Some more examples, I'm not going to go into the details. Our stars who go out of the way to help without expecting anything in return. These are the people who've been mentoring and coaching alongside us. YPC of APPNA, again the names of people, and our commitment and promise. As I said, the chicken is involved, but we are committed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Khosa, for your great presentation. Now I would like to call Elizabeth Ingraham to show and give us a path and guide our young physicians to show a light on how it works with the reasons for our young physicians after they get married. Thank you.
Thanks for that kind assistance, and thank you all for attending today. I am Liz Ingram from ECFMG, and it's a real privilege to be in front of an APPNA audience again in the presence of giants. So on behalf of ECFMG, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm going to spend a few minutes just talking about some of the resources that ECFMG offers for physicians who are pursuing ECFMG certification and entry into U.S. graduate medical education. And the things I'm going to hit on are some of our data resources, which are quite popular, some important tools that ECFMG offers for physicians pursuing certification, just a quick overview of the programs that we offer for physicians pursuing ECFMG certification. I'm going to talk about a few things that are new, not yet out there. So one of your rewards for being here early in the morning is you're going to have some information that other people don't have. And then I'll be available to take questions either after the presentation or during the Q&A panel, however the organizers would like that to happen. So just a little bit on data. The data on IMGs pursuing ECFMG certification is impressive. Here's a couple of factoids from 2015. We certified exactly 10,000 international physicians. Those physicians graduated from medical school in 1,141 countries, located in 139 countries and territories, and reported speaking more than 130 native languages, so adding a lot to the diversity of the physician workforce globally and in the US. Of those 10,000 physicians, 765 in 2015 were from Pakistani medical schools. That's about 7.7% of the physicians that we certified. The number of physicians certified over the past decade, pretty stable. Those last 10 bars in the graph there increased by about 0.5% in 2015. And that's a 25-year look there at physicians certified by ECFMG 1991 to 2015. So these are just a few of the data that are available in our annual report, available on the website. In addition to giving an overview of all of our programs, it gives a lot of information about demographics, average age, languages spoken, country of medical school, country of citizenship. So I encourage you to take a look at that if you can. If your time is very limited and you want a brief snapshot, we have a fact card on our website that we publish every year. The 2016 version, I have a number of copies in my materials here, which I can leave, but also talks about how IMGs are doing in the match, how they're performing on the USMLE exams, talks about how many IMGs we're sponsoring for the J1 visa, which I'll talk about in a bit, and also people using the electronic residency application service. So moving on to some of the tools that I hope you are using, or that perhaps I can encourage you to use. The ECFMG Reporter email newsletter. I know that email newsletter is getting a little old, getting a little dated, but we still rely on it. About almost 210,000 people subscribed, active subscribers worldwide. We publish this on an as-needed basis to put out essential updates on ECFMG certification, USMLE happenings, important milestones in GME. So I encourage you to apply. You can opt in at the time that you register for an examination, or you can subscribe anytime on the ECFMG website. We're pretty proud of our Facebook page. Again, this may be old news, but if you follow us on Facebook, you're going to get some information that we don't always put on our website, and then the ECFMG Reporter. We have about 15,000 people following our Facebook page right now. Pakistan is the third top following country, and of top following cities, and this has been pretty stable over the past several years. Cairo is first, Karachi is second, New York is third. So I hope you know that ECFMG has a mobile app. It is a mobile app for IMGs pursuing certification, not for any of other applicants. You can use it for a variety of things, checking your account information, where's my exam application, what is the status of my credentials, you can update your address, you can make payments free for iPhone and Android. Right about now, we're releasing a new update to the App Store that has new ERAS functions. Those functions include being able to purchase a token with your phone for ERAS 2017, and also be able, if you're a repeat applicant to ERAS, meaning that you participated in ERAS 2016, did not match and are now repeating for 2017, you can select from your available LORs, your letters of recommendation, and you can select those and reuse those for your 2017 application, all from the phone. Okay. Switching to some of the programs, I think that most of these are well known to you, but just a real quick tour. The ECFMG Certificate Holders Office is about 3.5 years old now, and the goal of this is really to provide some additional services and support for physicians who are pursuing ECFMG certification and competing for a residency position here in the U.S. And it does that by providing free resources on topics such as applying to a residency, orienting on some topics in U.S. healthcare, immigration options. We do have an email newsletter. As physicians are certified each month, we subscribe folks to that newsletter. There are currently about 50,000 people subscribed, 50,000 ECFMG certified physicians subscribed. One of the services that ECHO offers, and we heard already this morning about the importance of mentoring, is the IMG Advisors Network. IMGs who meet certain criteria can join as an advisee and connect by email with an advisor. The advisors are all volunteers. They're physicians who are either in or have completed U.S. graduate medical education, and questions can be asked on what residency is like, what are some of the criteria I should think about, and picking a medical specialty, and just very practical stuff. Moving your family and moving yourself to the United States. We have a number of resources that we've tapped experts for, asking for a letter of recommendation, some simple questions if you're new to this process. And for this particular resource, we polled 3 local program directors in the Philadelphia area who host IMGs in their programs. Important do's and don'ts for writing a personal statement. We did poll a number of program directors also to talk about what would be a stellar performance in a residency interview, making the most of that opportunity if you get a residency interview. And the importance of communicating with programs after the interview, what to do, what not to do. That's just a sampling of some of the 30+ resources for ECHO. You probably all know that ECFMG serves as the designated dean's office for IMGs participating in the electronic residency application service. Each year, about 21,000 physicians work through the ERIS process, and that's consistent with last year. The ERIS process for 2017 is in full swing. Is there anybody here participating in ERIS for 2017? Yep. Okay, great. So the detailed information is on our website. There's a live chat communication possibility, and there is a dedicated email, dedicated phone just for ERIS applicants at ECFMG. Certification verification service might be something that you're not thinking about yet, but when you need to demonstrate that you're certified by ECFMG to a hospital, to a residency program, to a state medical board, the certification verification service provides that primary source verification. In 2015, we issued 85,000 reports confirming that IMGs were certified to those client organizations. The ECFMG is the designated sponsor for non-U.S. citizen physicians in clinical residency. We're the only organization designated by the Department of State for that function. In the academic year that just ended, June 30, we sponsored more than 9,200 foreign national physicians. That's residency and fellowship together, and that's clinical only. An additional smaller number of physicians was sponsored for research positions, an extension to sit for a board exam, but 9,200 clinical. More than 560 of those physicians were from Pakistan. I have some resources on J1 also. So just to close out, so new things at ECFMG. If you're interested in J1 or our sponsored J1 physician, there is a Twitter feed now available as of July 1. We hope you join. On August 16th, our ERIS department is going to be hosting experts from the AAMC, Association of American Medical Colleges, to talk about the U.S. residency selection process. I think those seats are limited to 1,000. They will probably fill quickly, but look for that reporting shortly thereafter on the ECFMG website. And for those of you who may be wanting to register for examinations with the new materials, the new 2017 materials, hoping to get a Step 1, Step 2 CK eligibility period that ends in 2017. Those materials will be available September 7th. We're going to be publishing something next week that says on or about mid-September, but this is the real date that I'm giving to you, September 7th. You can find this on our website. So with that, I thank you for your attention, and I look forward to your questions now or later.
Thank you, Elizabeth Ingraham, for the detailed highlights and throwing your lights on everything. I can really tell you, Elizabeth and Michelle, these are the people who you should look forward to when you start your residency program, especially when you are in a problem with your J1 visa and when you are extending your J1 visa. Just to give you an example, I had to extend my J1 visa. J1 visa is actually a 7-year program, but it can be extended under certain exceptions. It can be extended to 8 years. So I was lucky enough to get hold of them, and they were great. And I'm grateful to them because they responded really, promptly. And I got my J1 extended really in time, which is really a problem. It's not easy to get longer. So again, we should give a big hand to Elizabeth for putting together. Our next presenter is a program director from Orange Park, Florida, Dr. Aftab Ahmad. He was in Michigan where I was staying, but he left Michigan because of the cold, so I requested him to come here. And so it's a good thing it's not cold today, so he's going to be okay with the speech.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I wish there was an audience response system so I could know that how many are IMGs? Okay, how many are US IMGs? And I do not expect any US parents. How many are parents of IMGs? Okay, that's good. Right, so what it is that just like everybody here, they're working hard to get you into the program. We are sitting on the other side of the table. And there are a few regulations, I would say, ECFMG, of course, is explained. The other governing body is NRMP, so we are bound by those that we cannot communicate with the candidate directly to it. So it has to be through the program coordinator and all that. And second is that, of course, many of you are friends and all that. But again, we cannot communicate outside of those norms that are ECFs and Gs. What I'm going to do is that, who loves math? I don't. But these are the driest slides that I hit. But unfortunately, we had to go through those. So the first number, and there are a few messages, few themes that I want to touch on. One is that I want to discuss the 2016's match results. But in order to see the trends, you need two data points. So if we just cover 2016, it wouldn't tell us that is the process stable, are the numbers going up, they are going down. So let's look at 2016, and in 2016, if you look at the last part, we have the cursor somewhere, right here. So these are the active 35,476 are active applicants. Active applicants are those who are following it, all the result recommendations are complete, all the results and everything is complete. And 27,800 are the total seats which are available. So it doesn't matter that how good the candidate is. There are 7,600 people right here. They are in surplus. So they are not going to get matched. Doesn't matter what, how good you are, that's just a fact. So nothing we can change. So if you are US allopathic, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because there are not many people here. But I would just like to look at only the trends here. That out of the 27,800 total slots, we have 17,000 that they are US allopathic medical seniors. And if you look at the yellow bar here, over the years, if you look at 280 is those people who are withdrawing. And when they're withdrawing, there may be many reasons, but one of the reasons may be that they are accepting the positions out of the match. So just keep in mind that it's not that, okay, they are just simply withdrawing from the match. The reason maybe they have accepted an outside of the match position. So if you look at these numbers over the years, pretty stable, going up by 20, like 280, 300, went up here by 30, then 32, 40 or something. So these numbers are fairly stable. The other ones are allopathic from the previous years. So if you look at here, those two bars, they are pretty close. But the moment you do not get magged in the first year, the chances are that 50% they go down. So if you look at 1500 here, it's 732. So based on that, it's less than 50% that they mag. And the trend is pretty much same. On DS schools, again, the numbers are, if you look at those numbers, they are slowly and gradually going up. The withdrawing numbers, they are going up. The reason is not that they decided not to take the exam. My feeling is that those are the people who are going, accepting positions out of the match. If you look at the USIMGs, again, these are majority of them, they are Indian graduates. They are born, raised here, but somehow couldn't get into US medical school. So they went into one of the Caribbeans, and if you look at it, it's like 50-50 split. Almost a little bit more than 50, they got it. And again, that trend is pretty much same. 2013 was a little bit unusual year, that many of the numbers, they do not kind of coincide. After that, I'm going to go to the non-US IMGs. I think majority of them did here. So again, 7,460 applied. This is the first year in 2016 where more number they matched than those who were not matched. Before that, trend was a little bit on the other side. So the next slide that I'm going to cover is that if you look at all the US IMGs, and these are active number. The upper part is US IMG, the lower one is the non-US IMGs. If you look at applicants, they are like 4,000 to 5,000 around that number, and more than 50%. This is the 2016, more than 50% they match. This is the first year that it happened, because year before that, any of those years, if you look at them, more people, they were they withdrew or whatever they did. In one of the trends, if you see in 2013, what happened is that 1,600, roughly 1,600, they withdrew. It's not again, most probably they accepted those pre-match offers. In 2013, the number fell significantly. I would say around 600 or so. And then after that, now it's pretty much stable. It's 800 to 900. So all these years, they are pretty much between 800 to 900. Now, non-US IMGs, if you look at this, again, unmatched, they are out of 7,000 that we said, around 3,500, 3,700, they are non-US IMGs. So majority of them, they are there. The next, because I'm an internist, so a little bit biased on that side, is that if you look at the surplus, like we said, 7,300, unusual year, 8,200, 75, 76, 76. So those numbers, those who are not matching, they are fairly stable. And if you go for any program, I would prefer that you go to internal medicine, because they were 22%. Now they are around 25%. The next slide is again a little bit busy, but I don't want you to worry about it. The only thing is, forget the Canadian part and forget the fifth part way, because they are not significant. They are so small, they are not going to affect. But in the end, I would say that your best bet is applying for internal medicine. Numbers are fairly stable. Doesn't matter that what you hear that, oh, you know what, pretty soon there won't be any positions for the IMGs in US healthcare system. That's not true. I think numbers are fairly stable, and some of those numbers they are slowly and gradually 24, 26, 26, 27, almost 28,000. So those numbers, every year we are seeing 500 to 600 new residency slots opening. I don't think that the days of IMGs are over. So hang in there. If you do not get it, some of the US graduates who do not get the residency slot in the first attempt, they have a hard time getting a second time. So if there are any other questions, we'll, I think, address after this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming and sharing your interest of math with us. Really grateful to you. Our next presenter is our Kessler Director of Spine Surgery Department at Harvard School of Medicine, Dr. Adil. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much, Majid, and thank you very much, Faisal. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Come on, you can do better than that. Assalamu alaikum. How's everybody doing this morning? Good? So, I just want to start first by, again, thanking Majid and Faisal for putting this on. And I had the opportunity recently at another conference to meet Majid. And, you know, last time we did this, he had driven 10 hours here and then slept in his car to make sure this thing would go off without a glitch. So that kind of dedication is what we have in this room today, and that kind of dedication is why so many of us become successful. So he's an inspiration, and I just want to have another round of applause. Now, I'm a trauma surgeon. Not a spine surgeon, although I do take care of people with bullets for the spine and stuff sometimes. But I'm here today to basically tell you one very simple fact, and that is people have done this before. Don't worry, you can do it, right? And Liz is here, and I haven't met you, Liz, but thank you very much for that talk. You know, she just gave you numbers of thousands and thousands of people who've done it before. And so who are all the people applying this year? Raise your hands, right? So that's great. And somebody was just musing that there are not a lot of people here. In my opinion, I think all of the faculty here are talking to you, care about you, and if we can make a difference to just one person, it was worth all of us coming down. So we are here for you, and many people have done this. And your job here is to find somebody who you like and trust and see how they did it. And then perhaps you can kind of follow what they did. Don't call the ECFMG every single time you have a question. Just call somebody who's done it before, and sometimes you'll really get a good way of how to do it. Now, I'm going to give you an example of two people who've gone through the ECFMG certification, right? This one person, we'll call her SA, she had okay USMLE scores, right? And she really wanted to match into a specific residency, type of residency. So she took a bus. She lived at somebody's house. She called a favor in from her parents, lived at somebody's house for about a year and a half, took a bus for about 90 minutes each way, and worked in somebody's lab, earned the respect of that person, learned how to work in the United States system, learned how to be a good doctor, matched into a program, did fantastic in that program, was asked to be faculty at that program, now has 2 kids, loves her life. I mean, she is just awesome to me. On the other hand, this guy who, when I went to medical school, was, in my opinion, the smartest human alive. Right? He was just smart. He knew everything. You asked him a question. He was technically exceptional. And he was going to be a surgeon. He had extremely good USMLE scores. But then he saw some statistics potentially saying that maybe he should apply to one field versus another. Right? And instead of going for what he worked for all his life, he decided to apply in different multiple programs. You know, programs, find out. He had the brilliance of applying to both surgery and medicine at the same hospital. Don't you think they're going to find that out? And they're both going to think he's not interested in either one. And so he didn't match. And he eventually matched into something. But I got to tell you, he's not the most happiest man alive. Because he didn't get to do what he always wanted to do. So I would say to you, don't look at the numbers. Look at what you want to do and what you think you can do. And have confidence in yourself. Right? You gotta know what you want. Because what you're trying to do is to become a physician in the United States, or stated maybe, and maybe I should say you're all staying here, because Liz is going to be like, that's not what the J1 visa is for. But what you're trying to do is to be committed to a physician for the rest of your life and train in something that you think is important. And the key is to look at the big picture. You know, I know people who you've heard about, you know, they do research or they do some sort of observership for years upon years, and then they match it with the specialty that they wanted to match it. But if you look at it, your career is going to last 30, 40 years. If you put in an extra year, so you can have the career you wanted, like if you wanted to be a heart doctor, right? Or maybe something less glamorous like a urologist, somehow people want to be urologists, right? And you all your life just care about making people, you know, able to go to the bathroom, right? That's all you care about. And if you don't get to do that job for the 40 years because you know, weren't willing to invest 1 year, isn't that penny-wise powerful? So invest the time. Over time, it's totally worth it. Now, the second thing is communication and professionalism. You know, I must say this is something that we certainly have an opportunity to improve with as a nation, right? An example is the time we started our talks today, right? But that's okay, right? It's in this context, it's totally fine. None of us are upset about that. But if you come to your interview 27 minutes late, well, that's not going to work. I mean, the adage of, you know, unless you're 5 minutes early, you're late, completely applies. Also, when we write emails to people, you got to be courteous and you have to be truthful. We're talking about Dr. Bhora here. Dr. Bhora is, of course, a thoracic surgeon, and you know, many people write to him, and you know, Dr. Bhora, I want to come work in your lab and do research with you because you're a world-famous researcher. And then 2 seconds later, I get the same email. It just has the different name, Dr. Adil, but then he thinks, but then I would like to work in your world-famous lab of thoracic surgery. Dude, I'm not a thoracic surgeon. This is probably something you sent to Faiz. So then I send that email to Faiz and say, Faiz, did this guy write to you? And Faiz is like, of course you did. So we all know one another, right? And so if you send the same email to, you know, to another person, I mean, you at least change the specialty, right? At least change the specialty. Also, you know, some of us don't realize the value of hard work. You know, everybody is important. The person who is the program director who's going to give you the job, and the person who is, you know, doing that person's calendar. He or she is very important. And if you treat them differently, people will notice. We should never treat them differently. And if that gets noticed, that is the kiss of death. I have sat through hundreds and hundreds of residence applicants, and just so you know how it works, you know, there's usually a big table, lots of people are looking at it, there's a screen that goes up, the picture of the person is there, their USMLE scores are there, a couple of things about their letters are there, some other important facts are there. So it's one page about every applicant, keeps on coming up, right? After the whole interview process, and during the match ranking list meeting. So this is the ranking list meeting. And if one of the program coordinators or something said, everybody's saying great things about it, and then she just looks and says, he was kind of mean to the secretaries. That's the kiss of death, right? That is the kiss of death. And I think it's right that it's the kiss of death. Because if you can't be nice to everybody, you shouldn't really be doing that job. Also, some of us have this opinion that, oh, they treated me differently because of the way I looked or the way I talked. Trust me, nobody is treating you differently. You have people from the ECFMD here in this room today, right? Everybody at every place generally treats people nicely, right? And even in this milieu of potential Islamophobia and something in America, if you look at the generous outpouring of support for Uncle Khan, right? You know what I'm talking about? Khazar Khan, the Gold Star family guy. Everybody knows about it, right? And everybody at APPNA has been calling him Uncle Khan since last night, which is great. But if you look at it, look at the generous amount of support that's come out for him. Okay? Everybody, this is a great nation with great people, and no one, and I guarantee you no one is trying to conspire against you because you look one way or act one way or another. The next thing is the third thing I'm talking about, this is the third most important residency skill, is anticipating what people want. So I had this friend called Saad bin Umar at medical school, and Saad would like not study a lot, but always get the best score. And you'd be like, Saad, how do you do it? And Saad was like, yaar, main dekhta hu tote kya hai, main wo padh leta hu sare. You know what that means, right? What that means is I kind of anticipate what's on the exam, and then I'm just going to study for those things. Okay? Now that's not the best way to become a doctor. You should study everything. I'm going on record saying that, right? But if you want to ace the exam, there are certain key points and pearls. And similarly, think about what they're looking on in that doing that rankings, right? The #1 equalizer is the USMLE score. Okay, that's the basic thing. So unless your score is high, you can't even get it at residency. So I'm in surgery. It's very competitive. You know, unless your score is like 240, 50, it's not even passing the first cut. So there's not even nobody's even looking at an interview. And there's different scores for different specialties, but that's the most important thing to think about. Next thing is that people write all sorts of stuff on their CV, right? If you were an Olympic fencer, that's a great thing to put on, right? Or an Olympic, swimmer, sure. But if you said that you played chess in 7th grade, nobody really cares about that. So don't counter-pad, don't put too much on your CV, it's counter-pad. And then about the letters, people always talk about letters. And maybe there are different opinions, and there's some program directors in the room and love to get your opinion on this. But the common idea that you have to always have letters from home may not be applicable. It's different for different situations. In my case, the most important letter, the most difficult letter I had ever earned was from the chair of surgery back where I went to medical school. He was a really tough guy, super tough. I don't know if anybody remembers him, Dr. Mushtaq, right? So if Dr. Mushtaq would write a good letter for you, it meant the world. But unfortunately, nobody knows Dr. Mushtaq. Great, great guy, but nobody who's going to give me a spot knows who Dr. Mushtaq is. But Scott Zito from the Mayo Clinic, who's a really nice guy and probably gives honors to a lot of people, everybody knows him, right? So his letter was way more important. The fourth thing is that you want to get selected for the interview, right? So the first thing is to have those scores and have those things, then you get the interview. How do you get those interviews, right? One thing that can help are earned phone calls. So remember, there's a big difference between nepotism, in which I'm just calling for you because I like you, versus something you've really earned and deserved. If you have worked hard for somebody, it's okay to ask that person. Like I have this colleague, she's from Nepal, she's working for these OBGYN doctors right now, and she's like, do you think it's okay if I asked all these OBGYN doctors to call people for me, and I've been working in their lab for 2 years, and she's written 22 publications with them? I'm like, yeah, they're busy people. Give them a phone number list of the programs you really like, and make not 20 phone calls, but have them make 2 or 3. And use that to your advantage, let that help you get interviews. Then of course, electives are very helpful if you've done electives. Clinical electives are best, but observerships do count as well. And then of course, you've got to strategically apply and put pressure in programs that have had a good experience with people like you, or doctors like you. So the place where I trained, it turns out that the chief resident there had gone to the medical school that I graduated from. This guy, well, his name was Atif. Atif was known as the technically most brilliant surgeon that they had trained. Now, he was also known as really tough, by the way. So, some people counted that against me, but they did count the fact that he was super smart, brilliant, and technically excellent. And so I got that credit when I went to interview there. People all knew that I was from Atif's medical school. Then the number 5 residence interview skill is you got to ace the interview, right? And one way to do this is to find out what people have been asked in that interview. And it's okay to ask for favors from people in that area, right? So if you're going to Michigan and you know Majid is a resident there or had been a resident there, it's okay to call him up and say, what's the program like? What do you think they're going to ask me? And so on. Also remember that during an interview, every single thing is a test. Okay? Every single thing. How you talk, way you eat? Are you polite while you're talking to other people? Will you be able to interact with all the rest of the residents? That's all what people are counting right there. You're sitting at a table during lunch. If you're the person who doesn't say a word, or if you're the person who monopolizes the conversation, both of those things will be looked at and probably not favorably. But if you're a smart person who had a funny anecdote or had an interesting story, that could be noticed. Also, you must meet the program director or chair. Unless the chairperson of the department or the program director has interviewed you, you cannot get selected. I don't need to be completely dogmatic about it, but I have almost never seen anybody who would get selected without ever meeting the program director or the chairperson. Because they're making the decisions, and they have to live with that decision. Remember, when they select a resident, they're basically almost selecting somebody who they're responsible for many years. So they have to know you and trust you and like you. And then the final thing during the interview is, you got to play up your strengths. Suppose you're a very hardworking individual, and people ask, well, what's your weakness? Right? People have this common question in interviews, right? Has anybody been asked this question, what's your weakness? What did you say to them? You trust people more than I should? So now if you say that to me and I was interviewing you, I'd be like, dude, this guy has he probably believes in conspiracy theories, I don't want him. Right? So you got to be careful in how you answer things. I knew this one, Faisal, what would you say?
I said I'm meticulous and detail-oriented.
Right, so.
The guy was actually interviewing me was actually obsessive compulsive.
So, I mean, again, that's kind of a, I don't know how much I don't know what I would think about that answer, because I'd be like, okay, that he's clearly trying to spin it positively. But I did get one really good answer from somebody who I thought was brilliant. And what this guy said was, I said, what are your weaknesses? And he's like, I don't know much about American sports. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I was really good at the sports I played back home, and I knew all about it, and I could converse. But over here, during the interview circuit, people keep talking about football. I don't know much about football, and I'd like to learn a little bit about it because it sounds very interesting. That to me felt like a guy who was cognizant of his surroundings, who cared about what was going on in the new country he was coming to, and wanted to be part of the social fabric. And I thought, that guy is just great. I love that. Then, after this, of course, you want to send a polite note after the interview, follow up immediately, and don't try to game the system. People try to call one person and then have another person do it. Don't try to game it, okay? People will respond honestly if you just write them what you mean. Don't try to tell 5 people that you're going to be ranking them first, because that's not true and people will find out. Then finally, the 6th most important residency skill, I think, is to let your rank list auto-populate itself. When you go places, write down what you think were important about that place. Then write down what's important to you as a person, right? Sometimes we make decisions based on this person is going that way, I think I may have a better chance at this place versus that place. Don't do that, right? Just like in the airplane when they say, if the plane starts to crash, you got to put an oxygen mask on, right? You're supposed to put it on yourself first, and then you put it on even if your kids are really cute, like the little kids that have just come up in the front row, right? But you're supposed to put yours on first. You care about yourself. What things are important to you? Because unless you are taking care of yourself and following the things that are important to you, you will not be successful. That's why you have to do that. And then care about, okay, well, where will I have the best chance and so on. Because remember, the match works in your favor, not the other way around. Everybody has all these other theories people talk about. Those are all bogus. The match works primarily in the candidate's favor, and then after the program's favor. So I'd like to leave you with these these key words. Remember, integrity, otherwise meant telling the truth, not saying the wrong things on emails, not saying the same thing to 2 people. Hard work, and of course intelligence, all will make a difference. And then finally, if you really want to make a difference and you're committed to being somebody, you can make it as long, especially if you have the wells of important people. And remember this important quote from the first Black American who became the president of the American College of Surgeons. Excellence in performance will always transcend artificial barriers created by man. So thank you very much, and again, really appreciate that.
Adil again for the thoughtful overview of the residency application and the match process. I would like to call a gentleman who has been organizing a lot of these events in the past. Though being a very busy pathologist, he has got a lot of applicants through this last decade or so. And many of the applicants are now consultant pathologists because of his entire efforts. I'd like to call Rizwan Naeem. Thank you for coming back.
First, I want to thank you. First of all, confession first. I'm not a pathologist. I'm a geneticist. I do work in molecular pathology, but I'll tell you a story which may be inspiring for some of you. So, first thing I wanted to do when we started doing that, I think Rizwan Khalid is sitting somewhere here. So we started in 2005 or 6, and Faiz was here also at that time, Faiz Bhora. So we started mentoring young physicians and bringing more young physicians to our organization, and we thought that this is the one way of doing it, how to help them be better in what they're doing. So what I heard from Faisal and Majid and Taimoor today, that ship is really sailing well. I'm proud of you guys. You've done a phenomenal job in the last few years. Please give them a big hand for the wonderful people that put together the last few years. So what I'm going to, I've also worked with Elizabeth Ingraham for the last many years. She's been kind enough, and ECFMG is kind enough. Her predecessor was with us in Pakistan in 2005 or 6 and had a wonderful trip for many presentations throughout the Pakistan, and I hope Elizabeth will come with us one day. And she promised she will. So, but what I want to talk today, I think, is already Adil and Aftab has done a phenomenal job in showing you what is needed to be the best in what you're doing. And I am also, whenever young physicians talk to me, as many of you do, know that I give a very simple example. So if you have a hammer and someone asks you to break this table, you keep hammering throughout the table, you will never break it, right? But if I say just break this glass where the black spot is, and you keep hammering that spot, no matter how hard it is, sooner or later you will break it. So I have a very good colleague, Dr. K, I would say. He wanted to do, he was a graduate of Sindh Medical College, average student. He wanted to do dermatology. And you probably know how difficult it is to get into dermatology. So he didn't care about his numbers. He didn't care about what else. He spent at least 2 years in research, got into internal medicine residency program, finished internal medicine residency program, then got into a dermatology residency program, finished his dermatology residency program, and now a faculty, he was a faculty at Harvard, and now has a private practice in Boston and New Hampshire. So you can do many different, and Adil is another example, for example. If you commit to what you want to do, you will get it done. So my presentation, Elizabeth and I were working on a very important, what you call, situation about foreign medical graduate. As Aftab has showed you that certain percentage of residents will not match. This is real fact, and we have to deal with that fact. But as you also know, as healthcare is transforming in the United States, it's not only physicians who are needed for that health force. There is more than ever PAs involved with the healthcare system. There are more than ever nurse practitioners are involved with healthcare system. And think about this: you have a trained workforce who has trained for many, many years is a very knowledgeable workforce. Certain percentage of that workforce is not going to get into residency program. And as an organization, APPNA and an organization, ECFMG, who certifies those people that yes, you are ready to be trained for clinical practice. Can we do something for them? Can we have a path for them to be part of this workforce? And that was the idea. So I'm not going to talk too long because you have many great speakers, and this message is not to discourage you for what you want to do. This message is how, as an organization and people, you have to be feeling good at what you're doing. If you don't get into residency, then what other things makes you feel? I'm setting example. I have never done residency. I have done my fellowship in genetics in 1990, 88, 99, and I did my 2 fellowships, one in one part of genetics, one in another part of genetics, and got into faculty position at Tufts, and then at a faculty position at Baylor College of Medicine and MD Anderson, and now I'm a professor of pathology and director of fellowship program in genetics at Albert Einstein for many years, founding director of molecular genetics fellowship. And that fellowship does not require you to be a trained clinical pathologist or trained clinical OBGYN or pediatrician. All is required that you are ECFMG certified or PhD from one of the accredited programs. So there are paths you can take which may be as good as doing, if you, for example, as Adil was saying, that if you want to be a surgeon, right? If you want to be a surgeon, you have to keep trying that. But if you have a desire to be part of workforce and enjoy something you're doing, that is the path you have to take. I love my job. I love going to work every day in the morning, and I love to read new articles. Every day something new about genetics and molecular pathology, molecular diagnostics. It's becoming part of core medicine. So this is a wonderful area. So I have certain resources. I'm going to leave it here. But Faisal, is it possible to put this PowerPoint on website? So all these resources will be available on website. So I'm not going to go. This is a presentation which was focused for people who want to look at alternate carriers, and it will be available. We will have. We have talked about it at ECFMG and APPNA seminar. We will keep it there also. And hopefully at APPNA website also. So, but in the end, I would say one important thing, which will be, which is really a crux of what the message is today. It's a Urdu verse, and I'll explain it in English also. Visale yaar bhi badi cheez hai magar humdam. Visale, we all want something. So Visale yaar bhi badi cheez hai magar humdam. Visale yaar faqat arzu ki baat nahi. So it has to be more than arzu. So you have to keep trying. You have to work hard. It is that whatever your dream is, or whatever your passion is, it's a very good thing to do. But it's not only desire which will take you there. So Visale yaar bhi badi cheez hai magar humdam. Visale yaar faqat arzu ki baat nahi. And I'm going to end it here, and I'll be happy to have a part of the discussion as well.
Thank you, Dr. Rizwan, for the quick overview. We have since one of our presenters, Dr. Adnan Qureshi, Professor of Neurology, he couldn't able to make it. So we had a couple of our really great aspirations for residency applicants, and a very well maintained CV who's applying to this year. And I would like to call Nizar Nurari, if he's around, to give a little bit of his
Assalamualaikum. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, YPC, for this opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Khosa, for this wonderful introduction. I'm really humbled and thankful that I've been given this opportunity to speak with this excellent panel. I would just like to answer 3 questions regarding remote mentorship that a lot of mentors get. First of all, I'd like to address the first question is going to be how to find a research mentor. I think it's the easiest and the most difficult thing to do at the same time. It's easy because there are several professionals who are ready to help young professionals like us to mentor them. But it's difficult because finding the right mentor is the biggest question. You need to find someone who is resourceful enough, is knowledgeable enough to help you be where you want to be in the next 5 years. So I think that is something that that one must keep in mind. Just a few points to remember. I'll be really quick with my talk here. First thing is that a mentor should have a proven track record of mentoring students or children. One must not look for advice from anyone who has anything under the sun. Somebody who has a proven track record. So please keep that in mind if you're looking for a research mentor. Another thing is someone who is well established in that respective field that you're interested in. It's very important. Like I said, resources are extremely important when you're looking for this job. Finally, someone who has similar research or clinical interests. So you may not just spend time with them, but also excel in the field that you're interested in. Second thing is that I'd like to talk about is how to elicit a favorable response from a potential mentor. Well, technically it should not be difficult because if somebody has been mentoring students, that usually means that you must or you should or you can get a favorable response. However, your communication is something which is going to determine. Dr. Haide and Dr. Khosa have already spoken about how important communication is, but I'd just like to tell you a few things that you should keep in mind when you're communicating with your mentors. Please remember these are busy people, so something which is precise and to the point and clear is going to be very helpful because it is going to help the mentor understand what your needs are and also help you come across as somebody who's focused about what you want to do. So just a few things to keep in mind. Be clear, precise and concise in your, I know it rhymes really well, but I came up with this. So be clear, precise and concise, be professional and avoid grammatical errors and spelling mistakes in your communication. Be humble, be thankful that the stranger is, who's the potential mentor, is ready to put in his years of hard work and his goodwill on the line to recommend you, or is willing to work with you, or willing to put his name on a paper with you. So be thankful and be respectful. Another thing that I like to point out is that your mentor works with you and not for you. So always be respectful to whoever you're asking for help. They may not be able to help, but I don't think that's a reason for you to disrespect them in any way that you're not helping me or you're favoring somebody else. It's just that your interest or his might not match. Another thing is that word of mouth is extremely important, and that is what the mentor is ready to do for you by putting in the word for you. But please do not expect your mentor to break the law or break the rules or bypass the system for you. Your mentor is very much part of the system, and it is very important for you to understand that respecting the system is extremely important. Finally, third question that I'd like to address is how to keep your mentor engaged and interested in you over the years that you're working with him. And of course, again, just a few points to keep in mind is you must be punctual in your timelines. You should work hard and not complain about the amount of work that you have. You should stay professional, you should stay humble, you should stay thankful, and of course, you should stay true to yourself and to the reason why you got in touch with your mentor in the first place. And you need to continue to do everything that you did in order to elicit a positive response. Getting respect it might be difficult, but it's the easiest thing. Maintaining that over a long period of time is the toughest thing. So my advice is to stay true to what you're doing and continue doing what you did in your initial contact with your mentor. With that, I'd like to pass the mic to Haris and Marina, who are also aspirants. And thank you so much again for the opportunity. Thank you.
is Mariam Hashmi. I have some experience working with Dr. Khosa over at Emory University. He asked me to just kind of talk about a few things with research, some of the questions that everybody here had. Okay, so there's a question that says, what expertise is needed to be assigned a research project? And so there's two essential components. One is the clinical, or the skills that you have as a researcher. And, you know, that includes knowing different study designs and really knowing how to format a research paper, because for a lot of IMGs, they don't really know the components of that, so it's a good place to start. There's courses offered by Johns Hopkins on Coursera where you can gain specific know-how on certain types of research, for example, meta-analysis and systemic reviews and all that stuff. Just be able to conduct a literature review and extract data, which is important, and use software, for example, Excel and SPSS to analyze data. With the personality component of it, you know, just being an optimistic person, somebody people want to work with, somebody people, you know, want to talk to, be a team player, it's very important. Be punctual and, you know, meet deadlines, you know, to be a more dependable person from your mentor actually wants to assign you work and you can take care of things on your own, which is important. And also, another thing is to be honest. You know, research is a group effort and there will be projects that you can't take on by yourself. So be honest about it and ask for help when you need it. Okay, so the next question is how to get LORs for physicians in the US and Canada who you haven't worked directly with. That's probably not a good idea to just ask a mentor for an LOR. You know, an LOR is a mentor's word that you are somebody that's, you know, hardworking, and anything that they write in the LOR, it is, you know, who you are, and they're kind of putting their reputation on the line for you. So even if you work with somebody remotely, it is appropriate to ask for an LOR, but you should only expect an LOR for the work that you've done. And a common problem that I've seen is that students want a glowing LOR and they haven't put in the work necessary to do that. So that is pretty important. The last thing I want to address is the do's and don'ts of research. And the do's would be make good collaborations, meet as many people as you can, adhere to the deadlines for certain research projects. And if you are coming from a different country, it's always a good idea to get involved in research in your own company. That way you know how to format a paper and you know the basics of where to start. A good idea to finding a mentor is to brainstorm a project that you are, you know, interested in, a field you're interested in, and then reaching out to mentors who do work in that field. It's always a good idea. And then for don'ts, you know, Zaheer actually addressed some of those things. So your mentor, you know, there's a difference between being assertive and being obnoxious. So your mentor has a life outside of helping you. So, you know, late night phone calls, I've heard a lot of mentors say that, you know, it's just not appropriate getting phone calls very late at night, messages, you know, and it's a good idea to stay professional, you know, address them professionally. Email is probably a good option, and don't have unrealistic expectations of your mentors. They are there to help you, but they're not obligated to help you. And be grateful for your experience. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. May I request Haide to give a few words?
Thank you for having me. My name is Haide. Not to be repetitive, I'm kind of trying to flip it up a little bit. I've been asked to also address 3 questions. How to improve your CV, paid and unpaid research positions, and how to get unpaid paid research positions, and also how to get relatives in the positions that you are in actually. So I'm going to actually flip it up and tell you about my experiences so you kind of know where I'm coming from. Recent IMG grad, 2014, and I'm doing research, had attempts with steps. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. I know a lot of people have had attempts. So I'm kind of giving it to you from my perspective, what you guys need to do to build your CV. I have a pretty extensive research background, but first and foremost, how to improve your CV. Been delaying it for a while, but I think it's very important to get your step 3 done and on the way. I think that will really bring your CV together. People think that, hey, you can do tons of research, this and that. I've seen that step 3 helps more with matching the positions that you guys need, rather than just having a million research publications. Also, I think something else that's very important is the externships and observerships that you guys do at the designated hospitals. That's also very important. Building relationships with the program directors, people you're working with. I think that's so important. And not to undermine paid research positions or underpaid or non-paid research positions. Those are also really important. But the goal of research is to get publications, right? So consistency in programs, in hospitals, where you can get research positions where we can, build these relationships and they can see you over the span of time, over years of time. You don't want to be jumping around to, hospital to hospital doing different research positions. Like did one for 6 months now, did another one for like 3 months. You need to stay at one hospital, continue your relationship with that hospital, with that program. Also, another thing, volunteer positions. Those are also great to have on your resume. Volunteering at blood drive, volunteering, at the hospital for this and that. I volunteered, at camp for the disabled. There's so many things you can do for volunteering. There's always stuff you can do. Moving on to how to get paid in unpaid research positions. My second question. I think that, just applying broadly, I think applying, to different positions, all across the hospital, whatever you're interested in, just get your foot in the door. I had a patient once, and she was the head of neuro over at Loyola, and it was kind of weird. I was doing a questionnaire on her, but she was very nice. She helped me out. I got attached to a PhD student, worked with them. It was great. She helped me out. So. Also, when you take interest in a research position, you want to look up the person you're working with, see what they've done, look them up on PubMed, go to ResearchGate if you guys are familiar with that. There's a lot of things on there that can be helpful. Kind of go into the email or the meeting, kind of knowing a little bit about the program or the position. The last thing I was asked to talk about was how to get your relatives, wife, brother, sister to take a position when you vacate. I don't really have experience with this so much, but I think that it's important to work hard, and obviously you will reflect on the people that you bring into the position. So work hard and get them to work with you on projects. They can publish with you as well. They don't have to be a part of the system. They don't have to be part of Emory wherever you work. You can have them come on and help you with the research and get published. And through that relationship, you can be like, hey, after you leave, we've been working with so-and-so person. They want to come in. We worked with before. So it's kind of like looks good on you and them if you do that. But in conclusion, I think that persistence and consistency and hard work really pays off. Take your step 3, keep doing research, keep getting published, reach out to as many people as you can, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Haris, Marina, and Hazar. Really glad to have these 3 great residency applicants with us. And I can't agree more with you in regards to Haris, in regards to with your step 3. Those who haven't taken your step 3, please, before leaving this room, it should be in your mind. Nowadays, you get more interviews. It's not about the J1 arrangement visa. Even with J1 programs, it's more competitive now, and you will get more interviews if you have step 3 before September. Finishing with that, I would now like to call our panelists so that we can have our direct communication with our applicants and our panelists. First of all, I would like to call Dr. Bhora. If you can come up to the stage. Next one, Dr. Atif Hussain. Dr. Aftab Ahmad. Dr. Atif Zaheer. Dr. Namirah Jamshed. And last but not least, Elizabeth. Thank you, everybody. Dr. Khosa, can you join us? Dr. Adil Haidar. Dr. Adil Haidar, can we please request you to come to the stage? Sorry, Mr. Naveen.
So I'll get the session started. I'm Faiz, I'm a thoracic surgeon, also Associate Program Director for General Surgery at Mount Sinai in New York. I just wanted to thank a few folks from all our behalves as well obviously for putting this together. Our thanks and gratitude for folks who have worked on this program for the last many years and who actually started much of this format of this program. So Rizwan, Haide, Rizwan, Naeem. Really, I mean, we followed some of the groundwork that you guys put together, and this has turned into a really excellent forum and a resource for our young physicians. So we're thankful for being here, and we look forward to talking to you further.
Guys, if you have any questions, you can also write it down and give us to it if you don't want to come up with it. Go ahead, Dr. Naeem.
No, if someone wants to raise their hands, I can take one.
Yes, if somebody has any questions for us, either you can give us your cards, written cards, or you can raise your hands. Dr. Salih Naeem is here, you can help us out. Thank you, Dr. Salih.
Good afternoon. I had a question regarding research in general. I've had some mixed reviews when it comes to the answer to this. For instance, I'll be applying for internal medicine in general, and if I have an opportunity to do research which is not specifically in internal medicine, how does that reflect on when I sit down for an interview season or going through interviews per se? For instance, if I'm doing research in neurology or something that is not specifically in internal med or it's a subspecialty. So kind of like a pros and cons sort of a thing. Is it effective? Is it not effective? Should I pursue it or not? Okay, thank you.
I'll take that one. I think it doesn't have to be only internal medicine, neurology, or anything would work. If you're good in any branch, what we want to see is that what you're bringing to the program, what you're bringing to the table. So if it's neurology or any other specialty, we just want to see that if you are good in research, you know how to do it, or at least if you're given guidance, you are hardworking and you will follow through. So it doesn't matter that what topic it is, as long as you know that we want to see if you're dedicated, and second, you know what you're doing.
So I think that was a specialized question, but I'm just going to broaden this up, and we hear this all the time. Should you or should you not do research before applying for residency? And there are different ways of looking at this. I have, my opinions. Adil, I'm sure, will have his, as well our other mentors. So my thought is that if you are ready to apply, you are done with your steps, and you are ready to apply that year, I do not think necessarily you should delay your application to do research. I think research is particularly helpful if you have a lag time or a lag year, and then absolutely I think it's one of the best things you can do to enhance your credentials for residency. So that's how I would look at it. Now, in certain very competitive disciplines and specialties, it may be worthwhile then to plan to do 1 or 2 years of research. But again, that's a very planned decision, and it needs to be well thought out. It needs to be done with the right mentor at the right institution, such that you maximize your ability to get into that program, or certainly into a program. So that's how I would add this. Other comments?
Thank you. Before going into research in general, also about should you, the whole question about the subject of research. I think medicine is a very big field, and it's a big catch-all field, and so if you work with neurology and you're applying to medicine, maybe it looks differently. But what the program directors are looking for is an awesome candidate and a person on the whole. And also they want to look at what you were able to do when you had the opportunity. So if you're applying to orthopedic surgery, or maybe let's not do something so competitive, how about you're applying to psychiatry? And if you couldn't find it, if you go there and say, I couldn't find a research spot in all of psychiatry, knowing full well that psychiatry is underfunded and there are lots of research spots for people, especially people who are willing to work without pay and so on, somebody's going to think, why? Why couldn't you find this psychiatry spot? If you're saying, I always wanted to be a psychiatrist, and you couldn't find a spot in psychiatry, I think that it would look better if you did your research in psychiatry. See, the whole key what Faiz is talking about is you have to be looking great on your application for the time that you're applying for. So if you're right after medical school, so there's one person who matched categorical in surgery immediately after medical school, but he was a superstar in medical school, he did electives in the United States, and his board scores were 262 and 272. So that guy applied, he's a perfect candidate. But if somebody else is applying in the same place, you need to be that great candidate. And if it takes 2 years of research to get there, then so be it.
I think just want to elaborate on that one. When the programs they are hiring, they are not, I mean, our program in internal medicine is 10 residents. I'm not looking for 10 researchers. I know 1 or 2 will be fine. So the program we want to have very diverse program. There will be some people who are excellent score. There are some who have a lot of research, and there are some that we are looking for that, okay, we need some hospitalists. So they have more clinical experience, or they are good in procedures, or whatever you have. So you cannot change your past. Whatever experience you have, just bring your strengths, like someone mentioned. Bring your strengths, what you are bringing to the table, and just highlight on that. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is looking for the perfect candidates. They may be like 20% of the candidates may be perfect, and 80% are not perfect. All of us, we are not perfect. The only thing is that what you are bringing to the table. And maybe you think that this person has 260 and I do not have a chance because my score is 250s or 240s. Maybe those people will match somewhere else. They will match at a university program and you are interviewing at a community program. So give your best. Whatever you have, just be honest, straightforward, and just highlight your strengths. One of the things was that was mentioned, that being obnoxious, I would just elaborate on that part, is that we had someone we interviewed, didn't match, and had some research interest, and our research person was interested. So we had a good kind of conversation. And after that, I said, okay, you know what, I'm interested in doing observership or something like that. There are limited spots. We can take 1 or 2 people. It's a small program. So that person sends the email to me, exactly the same email to our associate program director, and same with the change of name to our coordinator. So we are looking at 3 different emails. So after a couple of emails, I sent it to, forwarded it to my program coordinator. I said, you know what, put it on the waiting list for the observation. And then 2 days later, every day I'm getting that same email, just to update, and there is no update. We do not answer those emails. It doesn't mean we don't read it. It's just like it's a policy, we cannot answer all those emails. So I was talking to my program coordinator. I said, you know what, this guy, I already forwarded you this email, and but this one, I'm getting this email every day. And maybe he's overdoing it, and maybe we should pull this one from that list. And we were just thinking about it, and my associate program director comes in. He said, Aftab, this guy is obnoxious. He doesn't respect our time. I got this email 2 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't ask him what he was doing 2 in the morning, but he sent, and I think this person is going to be paid in whatever. And I said, okay. I sent it to the program coordinator. I said, no, this person is not here, and this is what we are having. What if this person comes here and joins us? So you have to look at all those things.
It's important to show maturity. I think really that's the bottom line. It's professionalism and maturity will take you far. Next question.
Thank you. Before going ahead, I was just told that Dr. Wasique Mirza is here. I would like him to come up to the stage and join our conversation. Dr. Wasique Mirza is Associate Professor of Internal Medicine and Acting Program Director of the Wright Center in Pennsylvania. Thank you. Our next question coming from the audience is, what recommendations would you have if I am done with all steps, no attempts, graduated in 2014, I have a full-time job in insurance health and cannot do externships or observerships or even research, which is unpaid? What advice do you have for me?
I think
apply and see what happens.
What it is that there are two kinds of candidates when you're looking at it. I'll give you some numbers. First year is a new program. We had 2,000 applicants. We screened and we selected 164 for interviews. We ranked 100 and we made it top 40. Next year, last year, 2016, we got 3,000. After that, so we stopped downloading the applications. We interviewed 120, we ranked 100, and again, we made it top 38. So when you're going there, just say that, okay, I'm not, there are traditional, like typical candidates, and there are non-traditional candidates. What you are bringing is the insurance experience, you're bringing the maturity. I have one person who's like someone mentioned, maybe 12 years out of residency from Egypt or whatever, has 3 years of experience at Mayo Clinic. So that shows maturity. I know that once that person is done, for sure that person will find a fellowship in GI because he has like 24 publications. So that person is bringing something that other young physicians, they cannot bring. So you are always looking for a diverse program, and when you're looking at that one, what you need to do is that, okay, yeah, I'm not traditional. In order to take care of my family, I had to work. And I worked in insurance, and bring the highlight that what experience you're bringing. Maybe they are interested, and down the road, once you're done with the residency, you may have some position in Blue Cross Blue Shield, CMS, whatever, more administrative thing that other candidates they do not have. Maybe they are looking for someone who's director of their ambulatory care or whatever in a leadership position. So don't be shy that that you do not have the perfect, you're not perfect candidate. There is a saying that throughout my life I've been bothered by the things the most which never happened. So we are always afraid, oh, you know what will happen? My application won't be looked at. Yeah, of course, if you do not apply, it won't be looked at.
And actually, just to add to that, so this year in our program, actually, we recruited 2 people with minimal US experience. Obviously, if your USMLE scores are high, that's the first thing we are looking at. So if you make the cut, highlight what you've been doing. It could be volunteer work. That's something you've done that gives you that added perspective. If your CV is strong, your personal statement is strong, that does make a difference. Because we're looking at the whole thing. If you graduated 2 years ago, we don't expect that you're here and have had extensive experience working with people. Sometimes doing an observership here or there for a few weeks may not even be that significant because we can see through that. That you just went to someone who knew someone who knew and gave a couple of weeks. So the body of work that you have done, something you have done through your medical school that shows your personality, what you can bring to the program. A lot of people are looking at that. I don't want just someone who is strong academically, but I'm also getting someone who is in my program to bring something new and helps us improve. So there are lots of facets to it, so don't be discouraged.
Good question from radiology. I think Dr. Zaheer would be able to answer this. Should IMDs apply to new IR integrated residency since each program has 1 to 2 seats?
So this program is fairly new, and we don't really have a very mature sense of how this is going to pan out. But I think it's definitely worth applying to because I think it has a very good career path. To mention radiologists who are interested in that, people who are interested in surgery but not really want to commit to the lifestyle and that sort of thing. So I think it's certainly a good path to apply to. Now, I just want to go back to the previous thing. I just want to touch upon something. We've had applicants, so I go through a lot of applications for radiology, and we've had applicants who have a past in the Wall Street, for example, right? So you kind of say, Wall Street person and a physician kind of quite go together very well. But the way you put a spin on it is the most important thing. So let's say you've been, as you said, life insurance or something. So I'm interested in healthcare economics, right? And that's how it is. So this is, my experience here would really help me further my career in medicine that way. So that's always important. Also, as one of our panelists said, that it's not what where you are doing something is like what you're doing. So, for example, we have a lot of people who come to Hopkins and do observerships or research. But so let's say one person has spent a year here at Hopkins, doing research. So it's not going to be like, okay, I'm going to look at the applications, your name, and then say Hopkins or Harvard or whatever big institution you've been at. Is what you've done there. And the more time you spend there, the expectations are higher. So if you spend a year, you would expect a few applications there and some glowing letters of recommendations, and really judge from that. And again, those letters of recommendations, everyone can write you a letter of recommendations, but there are certain keywords that you're looking for, especially towards the end of the letter. Like, this was one of the top 5% or 1% people I work with, or this guy is really the best I've ever worked with. Simply saying that he's a very enthusiastic and keen learner and that kind of thing is not going to quite do it. So I'm not saying that you can change the letter, but you can actually work towards getting that letter. That's very important.
Thank you.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
It's generally about research. Do you think it's the quality or the quantity, meaning like the number of publications, which is important, especially in diagnostic fields like radiology or pathology?
So I think it's kind of a mixture of both, if I may. So let's say you have one, New England Journal paper, right? I mean, obviously that weighs more than your, 15 other papers in smaller journals. Obviously that is true. But as we say that you have to add fiber to your CV, fiber. So meaning like, yes, you're working with one main thing, that is your main goal, and you obviously have to work on, something useful. You cannot just be writing garbage. But again, you have to be building CV, so you're also looking at some of your second and third author papers where you were just collaborating, so just to show that you were a team player and you were helping others also. So yes, numbers do matter in a certain respect, but then again, important publications, for example, it's not probably not that important right now, but when you move up in your career, you'll be like, what was that one publication that you wrote that sort of changed the practice, or that added significantly to the practice, or to the field of radiology, or for any field for that matter. So yeah, it's a mixture of both. So that makes it hard that you have to sort of work very hard, but at the same time think about what good projects that you can work on.
There's an interesting question I would like to bring up as well. I graduated in 2011. Can I apply to a program which says that they cannot take a candidate which is outside 5 years of graduation? And next question is, what do you mean by that in school?
First part, I'll take the first part where they say that it's out of 5 years or whatever. If you have more than whatever that requirement is, that part is not covered by the filters, if you would, but if you make an exception, then you need to know if, like, let's say that if I'm making an exception that this person is older than 5 years, which is the criteria, then I have to justify why I'm inviting this person. What I'm looking for, what that person is bringing extra that other candidates are not. So that's what I would say for the non-traditional candidates.
And again, I think it depends on how the program phrases it. Like a lot of programs don't give you a cut line and say absolutely no one before 5, because they will be taking some people past 5 based on the experience, and there are some excellent candidates. So it's usually always like a soft line. So if you have enough on your CV, and in our program, actually we say 5 years from your last major degree. So if you have a fellowship in Pakistan, if you did an MRCP or you did a PhD, that date counts. So if you finished your residency, if you graduated 7, 8 years ago, you have been in an academic field, actively training in a different facility. Where people come from Middle East, they're working in a facility where actually they are being governed by ACF and ACGME rules. Those things do count. The gap, if there is none in between and you have not been doing much, then it makes a difference. So you have to see what exactly they're doing.
I would say that one thing would be that when you are in the interview, just for a minute flip that your role and think that as if you are program director, and if you are program director and you have the same profile of the candidate sitting there, why would you hire that person? So ready to answer that. Okay, you know what? I'm program director now, and I'm 5 years out. And the question is, why should I hire you? What is my answer to that? What again?